Hey folks, welcome to another Triple T Thursday. For those just joining us, that's Tools, Tips, and Talk, where we'll discuss info for the knife maker. In today's episode, I'm going to show you guys a skill that I just learned in my trip up north to Washington with mastersmith Dave Lish, and that is doming pins, or peening pins. And I did this because I did a frame handle buoy. So I'm going to show you this technique. There's a few steps here to get it right, but it's really cool outcome if you do it right. All right, let's go take a look. I'm ready to do the doming of the pins for this knife build. I just wanted to show you all of the things you're going to need in order to get this done. So first off, you're going to obviously need your knife. I have all that set up here. Your pin material, I'm going to be using copper for this one. And then some other things you're going to need. You're going to need some of this Gorilla tape, okay, which is kind of like a mesh tape. You're going to need a hole punch with different size holes. You're going to need some of this acetate paper or plastic, which you'll see what I do with this later. And there's going to be links to all of this in the video description. Some spray adhesive. This is to stick the paper down. Just some snips to snip the copper pins. I'm just using this as an anvil. I put some Gorilla tape on here to make it a little softer. And then finally, you're going to need something to actually do the doming of the pins. You can use a little ball peen like this. It's just going to take you a really long time. I am using my engraver with a round end on it just to make this go a little quicker. All right, let's get this done. So before you do this, you really should practice on another piece. So here is a practice piece. Some of these are okay, but some of them are kind of bad, especially this one, because you can see a ring depression around it. So that's what you want to be careful of. And I got better at this as I got to here, and you see there's almost pretty much no ring around this one. And if I flip it over, they get much better, except for that one. So that's what we're going to be careful of. And this wood is actually a lot softer than the iron wood that's on the knife, so it should be a little more forgiving. So I've got my handle together with the temporary pins. Now, one at a time, I'm going to replace the temporary pin with the copper. So what I've done is just grind the end of this. You don't want like a snipped end. You want it to be flat and just take the burr off. Okay, and now I'm just going to push it through. Okay, so I want it to go probably just under an eighth, maybe about that. And now I'm going to snip it off here and hold this while you do it, but give yourself a little extra here. Okay, like that. So now I'm going to go to the grinder and I'm going to hold one side of the pin and I'm going to grind this down until it's about a 1/16 high on each side. Okay, obviously be careful not to hit your handle, but yeah, just grind them flat. And this is important. You can't use a snipped end because when you go to hammer it, it's just not going to deform correctly. So about a 1/16 from each side. Okay, so I've got my pin, you can see that it's ground about that much on either side. I've just put some spring clamps on it to make sure that this is tight. And now what we need to do is just upset the pin so it locks in place. And this is a very important step. If you try to do the next steps, if the pin is moving, it's not going to work. So just make sure the pin is balanced on each side. I'm going to put it against an anvil, and then I'm going to be hitting the top. Obviously, in any of these steps, make sure you don't hit your handle material. Okay, and then flip it over, do the other side. Okay, and then now try to move it with your fingernail. And you shouldn't be able to move it. If you can move it even a little bit, go back and do it again. Okay, so that's pretty good. I can't move it. So I went ahead and did all of the pins now just so that I didn't have to deal with spring clamps for the next step. So the scales are now on there. Remember folks, you guys need any material for knife making, whether it's steel, abrasives, handle material, you name it. Go check out Maritime Knife Supply. They will definitely hook you up, get you anything you need. So now we're going to take a piece of the Gorilla Tape and the punch, and I've got it set at the smallest hole on the punch, which is just about the size of my pin, so I'm assuming this is a 1/16. And now I'm just going to put one hole in the center like this, and now we're going to put that over top of our pin. Okay, and try to make sure it's centered. Okay, and you're going to need to do this for every hole, so you might have to tear a piece of this tape off because you're going to need to do it separately for each hole. And when you do it, take your fingernail and go around the hole and make sure that the tape is nice and flat. So I've got them all taped up, and it doesn't matter if you don't cover everything. You just want to make sure the tape doesn't overlap on itself at any point. And you can feel these. You should be able to kind of feel the edge of each of your pins here. Now we're going to go to the grinder and carefully, on a slow setting, grind the pins down so they're flush with the tape. And that will make the length of your pins before you start doming all the same, and that will make your domed pins, what's exposed, the same size in every one of these. So I've removed the tape. And sometimes, especially with copper, you'll get a little burr. So I just like to go around and remove, and usually it will just come off with your fingernail, because you really don't want to dome it with that burr on it. Now is where this acetate plastic comes in. This is what's going to protect the wood from doming. So you're going to basically put a hole here, put it over top of your pin, and then you're going to dome the pin. First thing we're going to do is take our hole punch, and we're going to set it to one size bigger than the pin. And I'm going to put a bunch of holes here, equally spaced. Now I like to just put it on a piece of paper towel here. We're going to take our adhesive spray, and sometimes if you get too much on here, I'll just take it and just lightly take some of that off. And now if you blow on it, it will dry this almost immediately. All right, so it should be, it'll be tacky still, so this is what we're going to use. So now I'm just going to cut one square off. I'll put this aside for the other holes, and now I'm going to take this and then just put it over the hole that I'm going to do, or the pin I should say, and make sure that the pin is in the center of this hole. Okay, and just kind of put it on there. See? And now we're going to move to our anvil, put the other side of the pin on the anvil, and I'm going to be using the engraving tool and just be hitting this pin. Don't hit the plastic. The plastic is just to protect you. Really, you want to be hitting the pin first in the center and then kind of do little radial rings around it, but hitting the pin. And that should dome it over. And you can lift this up and then check. If you feel a ridge, too much of a ridge, then you can just go back down. And then you can move on to the next one. If the paper doesn't look too bad, you can just reuse that and just stick it down. If it looks like the paper has, has a bunch of indents, I would switch to a new piece. Okay, I've got all the pins domed. Make sure when you do this, you do check all sides, all edges of the pins, because sometimes you think you got it, but you're really only looking at maybe 3/4 and the top is kind of tall. I also do this with an optivisor so that I can see really, really closely and make sure that the pins are all nice and domed and even all the way around. Now, next step, we're just going to take some of these, cover the hole, and then we're going to go to the buffer and buff each one of the pins. So here is the completed knife with the pins in it. I'll try to get a little close-up of the pins here. They're nice and shiny. And look at that coining, very nice. Yeah, it just kind of sets off the knife. You can feel them in your hand. It's just really a nice, I think it's a really nice look. And really kind of completes the ensemble of this blade. So there you go, folks. How to dome pins. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.